Today, we are talking about an affordable way to add movement to the URSA Cine Immersive camera or your Canon VR180 setup without blowing your budget. No, not that B-roll. That one will absolutely break your bank. I'm talking about a slider, a consumer slider to move a cinema camera. And I know what you are thinking. Hugh, you're putting a $30,000 camera on a $700 consumer slider. Are you insane? Maybe, but hear me out. This little thing right here is way more powerful than it looks, as you can see right here. And if you use it the right way, it can deliver some beautiful shot, especially when you pair it with the URSA Cine Immersive Timelapse mode, which I will show you later in this tutorial. But first, let's talk about movement in Immersive 180 and what makes the iFootage shot slider Nano 2 so interesting for this kind of work. Before we get into the actual slider strategies, I want to quickly recap the movement principles in Immersive 180 or 3D 180 filmmaking because it's a completely different world compared to 2D. You can't do stuff like this. Unless you want your audience to instantly throw up inside the Vision Pro, or in this case, inside the Meta Quest. According to the US National Library of Medicine, about 1 in 3 people are highly sensitive to motion sickness. So if you are moving a camera in an immersive space, you really need to respect the movement theory and take care of your viewers. But instead of lecturing you on the theory, let me just show you what works and what absolutely does not. So in the next section, go ahead and download the free AIVU file I have included, put on your Vision Pro, watch along with me and Kimchi, and you will literally feel what I mean. Your brain will tell you very quickly what's comfortable and what is not. And if you don't have a Vision Pro, don't worry. The same rules apply to Meta Quest, Galaxy XR, or whatever headset you are using. I also including a VR180 version of this video for Quest user and any other XR headsets. Alright, go check that out and then come back here for my breakdown. I will see you there virtually. So, example 1, this is a time-lapse with a horizontal movement. It's probably the safest and most comfortable type of motion you can add in Immersive 180. The cloud drift in the opposite direction of the camera, which create this really strong 3D parallax, and the slider itself only moves along one axis, the y-axis. Even though the movement looks fast when you watch in the raw footage, inside the headset, it feels smooth and completely comfortable. It works great as an opening shot or a wide establishing moment because it helps bring the space to life without overwhelming your audience. Example 2 is a little bit more interesting. Here, the slider is doing a simple push in and pull back loop. We got multiple depth layers in the space. The foreground with the plants right here, and the middle where me and Kimchi are messing around, and the background of the house and my mom. There's a lot going on visually, but that forward motion naturally pulls your attention straight into the center of the frame, which is me. Obviously, this is a perfect example of how camera movement can support storytelling in Immersive 180. A gentle push forward feels natural because it's the direction we move in real life. We walk forward, we look forward. So even with all the action happen around the edges, this motion subtly guides the viewer exactly where you want them to look at, without even feeling forced or uncomfortable. Do pay attention. Forward motion on a slider will reveal the slider base, but for Apple Immersive Video, you can easily highlight using Edge Mask feature in DaVinci Resolve color page. You will lose a little bit of the FOV, but that area isn't where you want the viewer to look at anyway. And if you want a cleaner solution though, we will also show you how to remove it completely in Fusion in an upcoming tutorial. A slider is still a lot cheaper than a Technocrane, so this is a trade-off I'm totally fine with for budget reasons. Now, there's an important concept to understand here. motion intensity. If you take this same forward and backward movement and scale it up with a larger Technocrane moving very quickly, take Apple's own immersive film Submerge on Apple TV for example, it uses beautiful dynamic Technocrane movement that are intentionally fast and dynamic. It worked great for the intensified moment, but for some viewers who are more sensitive to motion, that level of acceleration can trigger discomfort. So when you are designing movement, remember, comfort isn't just about axis of motion. It is the speed, the acceleration, the proximity, and the scale of object around the camera, and how much of the frame is shifting at once. They are all have a great deciding factor of movement comfort. Example number 3. This one is going to make some of you a little nauseous. This move is using 2 different axes at the same time, a pan and a horizontal slider to the right. In traditional 2D filmmaking, this is a beautiful review. You pan across, you slide, keep the end of the frame, completely normal on a flat screen. But in Immersive 180, the same combination becomes a problem. Panning rotate the viewer's entire world. And when you stack that rotation on top of a lateral movement, you are sending mixed signal to the brain. Viewer's vestibular system, the part of your inner ear that detects motion, isn't detecting the same combination of movement, and that sensor mismatching is exactly what triggers motion sickness for a lot of people. So the issue isn't that the shot is wrong, it's that multi-axis motion in immersive video can overwhelm the viewer balance system really quickly. Inside a headset, even small rotational movement become way more intense than you expected. Example 4 looks simple, but it illustrates a different issue. The camera is only moving along one axis again, but this time the POV is much lower, basically kimchi level, head almost in the ground low. And when the camera is that low, everything in the scene moves across your field of view with way more intensity. You have more texture sweeping past, more contrast change, objects sitting much closer to the lens, which all adds up to a lot more pixel motion inside the headset. The extra visual load can overwhelm the viewer, even though the movement itself isn't fast or extreme. Some of you probably felt a little unease watching it, and that's exactly why height and proximity matter just as much as speed and direction in Immersive 180. There is a reason drone and aerial Immersive 180 shots work so well on Apple Vision Pro. They naturally avoid this kind of proximity overload. Example 5 here brings us back to the comfortable size of the movement. Yes, it's still technically a 2-axis movement, a very slight pan combined with a slow horizontal slide. But everything about this shot is gentle. The motion is slow, the camera is back at the natural standing height right now, and the scene itself has fewer high contrast elements flying across your field of view. So even though this is not a perfect single axis movement, the overall experience feels stable and easy to watch in a headset. You can get away with this kind of movement to have more than 180-degree field of view as long as you keep it measured, intentional, and slow. Okay, so here is the conclusion. Your camera can move on X, Y, and it can pan. A slider can do it, a Technocrane can do it, a robotic arm can do it, but in Immersive 180, you really want to choose one axis at a time. The moment you start combine axes, like sliding sideways and panning at the same time, as you saw in example number 3, a lot of viewers will feel motion sick almost instantly. In general, panning is already one of the most uncomfortable motion in immersive video, so my advice is pretty simple. Avoid panning unless you absolutely have to. But rules exist so you know when and how to break them. And whatever you do, please never attempt 3-axis movement in Immersive 180. I'm not even gonna show you an example inside a headset because I want you to stay subscribed. If you want to dig deeper into what actually causes motion discomfort in immersive video and how to move an immersive 180 or 360 camera without hurting your viewers, I highly recommend watching Apple official training video I will link it below with the exact timestamp so you can jump right onto the movement section. We are also working on a full camera movement masterclass for those of you who are ready to step things up, especially if you are using more advanced tools like motion control rail system, robotic arm, or crane. In that masterclass, I will go much deeper in the principle we covered today and show you how to build truly cinematic immersive movement from scratch. But for this video, let's start with the simple stuff, the technique you can do right now on a budget without making your viewer motion sick. This simple one-axis movement already add a ton of production value, and they are a great foundation before you get into a higher end gear. Even though a slider doesn't give you that huge range movement that a really expensive motion control rig had, I still think it's one of the best tools to start learning how to move your VR180 or immersive camera safely and purposefully. And because I didn't want to buy a slider just for immersive production, I went with what I think is the best option under $1,000. The iFootage shot slider Nano 2 right here. This isn't a brand new product. It's been out for almost a year now, and you have probably seen plenty of reviews out there. For traditional 2D production, one of the coolest features is the direct integration with the DJI RS series gimbal, like the RS4 Pro right here. It's great for 2D, but please don't ever use this combo for immersive work. So why iFootage if its best feature doesn't apply to immersive? Well, because this thing is built like a tank for the price. The short slider Nano 2 is one of the very few sub $1,000 slider that can actually support the weight of the URSA Cine Immersive, up to a 7kg payload. And since this is a true motion control system, you are programming very precise movement. If your camera package is heavier than what the motor inside can handle, you won't get that smooth, controllable motion that immersive footage absolutely depend on. So that is the real reason I pick up this slider. Reliability, payload capacity, and smooth programmable movement, all without stepping into that very expensive gear territory. Second advantage, the mounting option. There are mounting points all over the slider, and they really matter when you are working with a heavy system like the URSA Cine Immersive camera or a fully rated Canon R5C VR180 setup. iFootage, as many nature and wildlife photographers know, is a tripod company first. They are a UK design team that actually understand how to build strong, reliable support gear for wildlife photographers. I have been traveling with their carbon fiber tripod for years. It's lightweight, solid, and perfect for immersive production on the move. Because the slider was designed to pair with their tripod system, everything fit together nicely. As you can see here, even the heavy URSA Cine Immersive camera can run through the entire slider range on a single lightweight tripod. For travel filmmakers like us, it's a huge deal. You don't want to hold a massive support system just to add a little camera motion. And if you want even more stability, iFootage make this tripod support arm with a quick release system right here. Once you attach them, you get 3-point support. They go on quickly, then pack down fast, and they are rock solid. For immersive filmmaking, especially when motion is involved, a stable platform is absolutely non-negotiable. Now for the URSA Cine Immersive specifically, because it's such a front-heavy camera, you will also want a second point of contact in the front. This lets you slide the camera far enough forward to keep tripod leg out of the frame. There is a 1/4-inch screw with the RV locking pin right here on the slider moving plate, so you can mount a magic arm to support the front of the camera and prevent it from tipping forward. And by securing the camera with 2 points of contact, you eliminate accidental pan adjustment. So when you unlock the slider and reposition the camera, you won't accidentally rotate the rig. Remember, no panning in immersive. We want to lock the pan down. By the way, The magic arm I'm using here is the Digital Photo 11-inch damping magic arm, the IN311QD. Unlike many brands, it doesn't use T, so you can make precise micro adjustment with smooth damping. It protects your camera and motors by preventing over-tightening, and it's just incredibly versatile. I use the same arm as part of my tripod support system for my URSA Cine Immersive camera as well. It is a fantastic little tool to have in your kit. The iFootage Nano 2 is also surprisingly quiet, even with a heavy camera package like the URSA Cine Immersive sitting on top of it. Here, take a listen. For immersive production, this matters a lot. We always rig an ambisonic mic right on top of the immersive camera, so any mechanical noise instantly show up in the spatial mix. If you care about clean audio, which you absolutely should, the Nano 2 become a really solid choice. Finally, and this is a big one for me, the iFootage Nano 2 is actually really easy to use. You can power it with a standard Sony MP battery like this one from SmallRig, or a V-mount battery with a USB-C PD, or my favorite option, the iFootage Electric Ray PD180H battery grip. Turn it on, unlock the slider with this two buttons right here, set your start and end point, and you are ready for controlled movement. No fighting with the menu, no overcomplicating calibration, nothing slowing down your creative process. A lot of slider has this super heavy apps or programming step that just kill the momentum on set. The Nano 2 does has a mobile app, by the way, if you want to use it for flight control, but I rarely use it. The physical control here are fast, intuitive, and perfect for immersive shooting where you just want to focus on the shoot instead of the interface. If you are using the Canon R5C for immersive time-lapse, the Nano 2 has a really solid time-lapse mode built in. You can trigger your camera and sync the motion so everything stays smooth and consistent. If you have never tried motion time-lapse with your VR180 setup, this is the perfect way to experiment. It looks incredible. Now, for the URSA Cine Immersive, we don't really have a dedicated time-lapse photo mode, so we have to approach it differently. Here's what I do. I switch the URSA Cine Immersive camera into the time-lapse video mode here, and set my interval to 1 second. Then I lock in all my exposure settings. On the Nano 2 slider, I use the Nano 2's video mode to drive the motion. I set the A to B movement to last 30 minutes, start the slider, roll the camera, and let it run. And that is how I capture this 16K HDR 90 frames per second motion time-lapse you are seeing right now. Super clean, super stable, and a great way to add production value to immersive footage without needing a crane or a robotic arm. Starting with a slider, any motion control slider is a great way to train your eye and your instinct before you jump into bigger tools like a Russian arm on a Gator or a Technocrane like the one you saw on Apple TV. Limited, slow, controlled motion will teach you far more about viewer comfort than any expensive setup. And remember, price doesn't equal to good immersion. A fast movement on a $100,000 rig can still make people sick if your fundamentals aren't there. I hope this tutorial gives you a solid starting point for moving your immersive or VR180 camera with intention. We have got more guides coming to help you level up both on your URSA Cine Immersive camera workflow or your Canon VR180 setup. Until next time, go outside, film something, experiment, and keep pushing the boundary of immersive storytelling. I will see you in the next tutorial. Ciao!